Everyone, of course. I will introduce myself. My name is Emanuela, and I'm working as an advisor for Zeeland International Center. I do not do this alone. We are a team of three with Leon, Janice, and of course myself. And we are delighted to host this session together with TaxSavers. They are our affiliated partner. And we are thrilled to do this with them this afternoon. So what we will be doing, we will be sharing some key updates, of course, and practical insights in the field of the taxation. We're also aware of the fact that an hour can fly by, so it goes very, very quickly. So if you have additional questions, don't worry, there is enough time and space to address them in the Q&A we will have afterwards. And also, if there are very specific questions, don't hesitate to contact us afterwards. You can always send your email to info@zeelandinternationalcenter.com, and we will make sure that they will be addressed and sent out to TaxSavers. So there's a lot of possibilities to address your questions. From my side, not only for taxes you can reach us, so it's also important to mention that other topics for the Zeeland International Center, you can also reach us with topics about living and working in Zeeland in the Netherlands. So if you have any other questions besides the tax webinar, then of course you are also very welcome to share these with us. Yeah, I think it's time to hand over and to give the stage to Ivar. So Ivar, I will give you the control and the stage. The floor is yours. Good luck.
Thank you. Hi everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Ivar, and we will be discussing your taxes today. So we are from TaxSavers, and we can help you with anything from tax advice to the 30% requests to the tax returns. This includes Dutch income tax returns worldwide, income statements, provisional tax returns, gift taxes, and inheritance taxes. So you can find us in Amstelveen. We also have our contact information here on the left side. And you can also contact us with the specific questions through Zeeland International Center. For the topics of today, we'll be discussing the tax basics, the 30% ruling, the tax returns, and the self-employed tax. And let's get right into it. For the basics, we got the Belastingdienst, and in English that's the tax administration. You've probably also seen them from the blue letters that you've received, and they are responsible for collecting the taxes and enforcing tax laws. And they also manage allowances and benefits like healthcare and rent support. The allowances, they're financial aids to cover essential costs such as healthcare, insurance, rent, daycare costs, and child expenses. And your entitlement for the application depends on the income and assets and the household situation. And they also required you to have a tax partner. You can be fiscal partners in the Netherlands by a couple of different ways. Usually, people either get married or they buy a house together, but it's also possible for you to become a fiscal partner by another way. And that is by either registering each other as registered partners, having a notarial cohabitation contract, recognizing each other's child, registering each other as pension partners, and having been the fiscal partners in the previous year. It's good to know that both parties need to have a Dutch registered. They need to be Dutch registered residents. In the Netherlands, we have the box system. And that is box 1 from your work and home ownership. So this is the income if you're employed, and if you have the house, this is also falls under box 2, box 1. Box 2, it's if you have a substantial interest in a company, and this would mean that you have more than 5% of the company in your name. And box 3, this is for all your savings and investments in crypto and any foreign or extra houses that you may have. So in box one, as I just stated, it's all about your income, and it's from your work. For example, if you're employed, you can also be self-employed. It can be from former work, and it can even be your pension. And you can also have your deductions in box one. So this could be the healthcare costs, alimony, and mortgage interest. And it also includes any costs relating to the home that you have. In box one, your income gets taxed through different brackets. So if you have an income lower than 38,441 euros, it will be taxed against 35.82%. If you have an income above that, so if it's between 38,441 and 76,817, it will be taxed against 37.48%. And if you have an even higher income than that, so above 76,817 euros, it will be taxed against 49.5%. For the box two, this is when you have more than 5% of the shares of a company and you're receiving dividends or payments from this company, and then you are required to pay taxes over that dividend. In 2025, the first bracket for the box two has a threshold of 67,804 euros, and the percentage was 24.5%. For income exceeding 67,804,000, the tax rate is increased to 31%. In the box three system, this is where you pay taxes over your savings, investments, crypto, and if you have one, a second home, and cash above 661 euros. This box works on a wealth tax system, and this box also includes a debt calculation. Everyone is allowed to a tax-free capital amount. And in 2025, this amount was 57,684. And if you had a fiscal partner, then you can double this, and it is 115,368 euros. So that means if your box 3 allowance is lower than this amount, then you do not pay any box 3 taxes over it. Each year, the assumed profit, the percentages, they change a little bit. For 2025, your savings, they got taxed against the 1.44 percentage rate. Your investments and other assets got taxed against the 5.88% rate, and over your debts, you pay 2.62%. And all of these together then get taxed one more time against 36%. You can also file for the opgave werkelijk rendement. So if the percentages of interest are lower than the one that the tax authorities are calculating with, then you can actually file for the opgave werkelijk rendement, which allows you to get the difference in money back. This is a form that you'll receive you'll receive an invitation for this form is a letter in the mail. And when you have received this letter, you have 12 weeks to submit the form. And if you have a tax advisor, they can extend for the deadline, and it's 26 weeks. Reporting the actual return is not mandatory, but if your actual interest rate is lower than the one that the tax authorities calculate with, it can be beneficial to file for this. For the 30% ruling, 30% ruling, it's a ruling for, it's a tax advantage for highly skilled migrants. It counts as a compensation for extraterritorial costs, and 30% of your gross salary is tax-free for the duration of your 30% ruling. And the maximum compensation is 78,600. And from 2027, there will be a change in the 30% ruling, and then it will be a 27% ruling. The tax-free allowance gives you you pay taxes over 70% of your gross salary instead of the full 100%. If you have the 30% ruling, you can also exchange your driver's license from the country of residence to a Dutch driver's license. If you have a partial non-resident status, then the box 2 and 3 taxes are free if you had the 30% ruling before the 1st of January 2024. And if you had it after 2024 and if you had it after the 1st of January 2024, you can only be a partial non-resident from that year. That means that from January 2025, you will need to, you're a full resident taxpayer and you will have to declare your assets as well. If you want to be applicable for the 30% ruling, you must be recruited or transferred from abroad. It needs to be more than 150 kilometers away from the Dutch border, and it needs to be with a Dutch employer. There is a minimum salary for the 30% ruling, which is 48,013 euros. And employees with under the 30 years old with a master's degree, for them the minimal salary is a little bit lower, and it's 36,497 euros. And if you want to have the 30% ruling, you need to have an expertise in something that is scarce in the Dutch market. So that could be if you were to work in a hospital, and some tech fields, they also require extra help. So then you can apply for the 30% ruling. If we get to the actual tax returns, you need to pay your taxes. So in the student with no part-time job, he still needs to file his income tax return. The unemployed partner, it's because it's a partner, they do a joint tax return, so they also need to do one. If you are employed with stocks, then you definitely need to do one. And a pensioner with assets abroad and based in the NL, the tax authorities, they always want to know what's up, and you have to declare everything when they request it. There are 4 different forms of tax returns. You got the M form, which is a migration form. You got the P form, which is a personal form. And you have the C form, which is for non-residents. And you have the F form for deceased. What you need to file your income tax return, it's your BSN number, the exact migration or immigration date if you're filing for an M form. You need to have a DigiD login. The annual income statement is important, together with the overview of your assets. In the Netherlands, we always use the value of your assets on the 1st of January. So that is the amount that you'll put into your tax form. We also need the information about your home. This implies the WOZ value and the annual mortgage statement and a notary bill. The notary bill can also include deductible expenses, and your mortgage interest can also be a deductible expense. Annual overview of loan and debts, they need to be included, and the provisional tax return can also or needs to be included if you have it. Our tips on filing it. So the most common mistakes that are filing after the deadline, the May 1st, even with an extension, it might get tax authorities to charge interest on your tax return because of late filing. It's also important that you choose the correct tax form. So this is usually a P, a personal form, an M for a migration form, or a C for a profit form. Not filing because the income feels too small. This is not beneficial for you, because the tax authorities, they will keep sending you letters, and then the interest it can keep increasing. Not declaring foreign income. It depends on situation, but generally you need to you also need to include your foreign income, but then you have to look at the tax treaty between the 2 countries, and based on that, you can find out if it needs to be excluded from double taxation or in which country it needs to be taxed. It's also possible that you use the wrong WOZ value. Always use the WOZ value of the previous year, not of the current year. And when filing for yourself, and you have the option to file with a fiscal partner, it's usually beneficial to file it jointly instead of 2 separate forms separately. It's also important that you include all of the foreign assets, and usually they can also be exempt from double taxation. And very handy thing to do is using the deductions. They will lower the amount of taxes that you will have to pay. Deductible expenses. These can be multiple things. It can be your healthcare and medical expenses as long as they reach the threshold of 1% of your annual income. The home ownership and mortgage. If you buy a house, you have the mortgage interest that you pay, and with the you can request this mortgage interest that you've paid back with your annual income tax return, or you can file for the provisional tax return, and then you'll get it back in monthly installments. You also have annuity and pension savings. In the Netherlands, you can put a certain amount of money towards your pension, and as long as it's in your jaarruimte, it's tax-free, and you can deduct the amount that you put in from your taxable income. So with this, you can further decrease the amount of taxes that you have to pay. Weekend care for disabled, it's also a deductible expense. Commuting costs, otherwise reiskostenvergoeding. Some employers, they provide this to their employees, and then you can state that you've received this, and then you can get that back. The spousal alimony, this is only deductible for the person paying it. And charitable donations, it also needs to be above 1% of your annual income, and it needs to be with an ANBI if you want to have it like in monthly payments. An ANBI, it's deductible for 125% instead of 100%. If you only make one-time donations, it's only deductible for 100%. Now, if you get to the self-employment and taxes, if you're self-employed, you will need to register yourself with the KVK, with the Kamer van Koophandel. You also need to pay VAT returns, and or you need to file for the quarterly VAT return, and the amount of VAT that you can charge, it depends on which area of job you do. Usually it's either 9 or 21%. And for a self-employed person, there are a lot of benefits. There are a lot of stuff that you can deduct, and you can also file for example, the core regeling, and that means that you do not have to file your BTW or your VAT return as long as the profit of your company is under the 20,000 euros. Then if you have any questions, you could write them in the chat, or or you can write them to Zeeland International if they're a bit more specific, and then they'll make sure that the questions get back to us.
Hi, so Anna from TaxSavers here. Ivar, I see there's a question in the chat from Edward. If you could answer that, that would be great.
Yeah, so if you have an online course from a Spanish university, you can sadly not deduct the invoice from it. Since 2021, the costs that are made for schoolings, they are no longer deductible. Does anyone regarding the third, are these changes to box 3? So with the 30% ruling, the changes to the box 3 exemption, they are already in process. If you had your 30% ruling before the 1st of January 2024, you're still counted as a non-resident taxpayer, and you will only have to declare your income. From 2025 and onwards, you will have to pay taxes over your box 3. And partial non-resident, when someone is considered a partial non-resident, it's when you've been living in the Netherlands for half a year, or like partial for the year, then you're considered a partial non-resident. It could also be if you are living in a foreign country and then you still get money, or if you still have a house here, then you can then you're still tax in the eyes of the tax authorities, then you're still a taxpayer. So then you would also count as a partial non-resident. In the case of stolen items documented in the police report, this is sadly not deductible.
There's also questions in the Q&A, I see.
I think I am unable to see those. Never mind. Sorry, I just found them. How long after you get the 30% ruling are you still eligible to change your driver's license? As long as it is active, then you should be able to exchange your driver's license for a Dutch driver's license. So if your 30% ruling is no longer available, if it's passed, then you can sadly no longer exchange it. And then you will have to take all of the courses and lessons in the Netherlands. If you have company shares and did not buy or sell them that year, do you need to declare anything? Yes, you do need to declare them. But you will have to declare them, yes. If we get the 30% ruling before 2024, then we are entitled to continue for 2025 for 5 years with the benefits, including box 3, right? Is it 5 fiscal years or the total amount of time? For example, if my first year was only half year. So you received a letter stating the start date and the end date of your 30% ruling. And if the start date was before 2024, then you are eligible for the entire 5 years, where you do not have to pay box 2 or box 3 taxes. And if your first year was only half a year, then you would have to calculate your assets over that year pro rata. And then for the next year, because you had it for the full year, you do not have to pay any taxes over your box 2 and box 3. And after your 30% ruling has ended, if that's also half a year, you have to calculate that pro rata again, prorate over the part that you did not have the 30% ruling. And then the next year you won't have it at all. And then you will have to declare all of your assets. If taxes are already paid in case of the income generated in foreign country, then you can, the tax authorities, they do want you to declare this income. However, you can file for exempt from double taxation. And that states that you've already paid taxes in one country, so you do not have to pay it here. But you would have to look at the tax treaty between the two countries to see who's eligible for it, because sometimes the other country gets a small part. So it depends on which country it is. If you are one of the co-owners of a property abroad, do you need to declare it? Yes, you will have to declare it. However, property, they always get taxed in the country where they're located. So that also means that it will be exempt from double taxation. I do recommend still checking just for safety to see if they, just to make sure that it's taxed in the right country. But generally speaking, it's always taxed in the country where it's located. If you have the 30% ruling and your partner doesn't, then you will still have to declare the assets that are in your partner's name, depending on when you've received it. If you've received your 30% ruling before the 1st of January 2024, then generally you do not have to declare any box 3 assets. If you've received it afterwards, then you need to declare your partner's assets. Do we also need to declare employee stock purchase plan, or has it been tax deducted? So They generally need to be declared, and it's not tax deducted. It's the or Could you send me that question through the email, and I'll look a bit more further into that. I would just want to make completely sure that I am stating the correct information about the employee stock purchase plan. Income from a property owned abroad have to be declared in the NL. That is correct. However, it will be exempt from double taxation. Um, you can check the tax treaty between two countries by going to online, and if you type in Belastingdienst, for example, and then both countries, then you can find the tax treaties online between the two countries. Netherlands has that with almost every single country that is in the world. When you own a house in another country, but paying taxes in that country as a non-resident, does it need to be declared in the Netherlands? Yes, it does need to be declared. However, as stated earlier, it will be exempt from double taxation. If you registered with the Dutch municipality in October 25th, but you were not employed at the Dutch company because you were working remotely from the Netherlands, for a German company, do I have to file my taxes in 2025 in the Netherlands? If you had income from the Netherlands or if you had a house in the Netherlands, then yes. But because you received your taxes from a German company, you will probably have to do the income tax return in Germany instead of in the Netherlands. But once again, I would recommend double checking the tax treaty just to be sure about that. Are there any other questions? If you have a mortgage or loan in a foreign country for a house, but I'm paying the monthly payments from the net earnings in NL, how do you report this mortgage here? You can file this mortgage under your box 3. You have a tab that's called loans for foreign assets. And in that case, you would have to declare your loan there. But then once again, you can state that it's exempt from double taxation because you're already paying in the country where the house is located. Are there any other questions? Yes, we from TaxSavers, we specialize in providing tax filing services for foreign people. We generally make your tax return and then we'll discuss it with you. And during our discussion, you can ask all of the questions just so it's completely clear for you as well. And after which, with your written permission, we can also file it for the tax to the tax authority. So you don't have to worry about the taxes at all. But better because after we have done the meeting and we've discussed it with you, you should be able to do your taxes yourself as well. But we're always happy to help you with your tax returns if you need any help. And you do need to pay taxes on your savings abroad. You can file this under your box 3 assets under bank accounts abroad, or you can file this under stocks or crypto, depending on what it is. But you do have to declare this as well, yes. As a student in the Netherlands and you are a UA citizen working on a 0 hours contract for over 1.5 years, as long as you've been staying in the Netherlands for the entire year and you did not deregister yourself, you should just file a P form, and that is the only form that you need to file. Are there any other questions? If not, then I want to thank you all for joining us. Oh, sorry, so another question come in. How is it? Is it true? Is it true? It is interesting for grensarbeiders to work partly from home. Any best practice on how to split working on location versus working from home? We can look into this. We have a colleague, Kaylee, and she works a lot with grensarbeiders, and she has a lot of experience with the specifics surrounding that. If you were to fill out our contact form, then one of our advice or one of us will can contact you, and then we can discuss the specifics because it depends on your situation if it's more beneficial working partially from home and partially from here or completely here. So we would have to look into the specifics of that. You can send your email to the email at the very front. Let me just quickly go all the way back. And you should yeah, so you can ask your questions at zeelandinternationalcenter.com or you can send it to info@taxsavers.com. This is retirement savings, annuities, or pensions in a foreign country entered under box 3. It depends. Generally, for as long as you're not receiving the retirement, then it's not taxed. But the moment that you start receiving your retirement and you're living in the Netherlands, then it will be taxed under box 1. Are there any other tax-related questions? For as of right now, there is no foreseen end to the wealth tax. They are currently in the process of it, and they have released a new plan for a new box 3 system for in 2028. But recently there were already a lot of complaints, and it's probably going either to be adjusted still, or it is going off the table completely, and they'll have to make a new box 3 system to calculate it. So for now, there's no foreseen end to the wealth tax. Could you elaborate on redundancy payments? Um, This is also taxed in the Netherlands against the box 1 tax percentages. So the full amount that you are receiving it needs to be declared in the tax return, and you will be taxed over that full amount. The vacation payment is also taxed under box 1 as it is an addition to your income. Or yeah, vacation payment, holiday pay. It's included in, or generally your employer can either include it in your salary, or you can get it on top of your salary, but it's part of your salary, so it's taxed in box 1. Yeah. In the compensation payment discussed above, generally speaking, you would have to discuss that with your employer. When you go out of employment, all of the remaining money that's still available. So this is the holiday pay that you've built up. It needs to be paid out. But this is all taxed into inbox 1. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you for hearing that. Then I want to thank you all for being here today. And I wish you all a very nice day. And I would say enjoy the last bit of the sunshine. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Zeeland International Center, or you can reach out to TaxSavers. For now, I want to wish all of you a very nice evening.
And I would like to add here that the meeting has been recorded and it will be available in the chat. So once you leave this room, you'll be able to see the chat where all the questions were asked. And there will be a recording a few hours after this presentation. That's it. Enjoy your day, everyone.